Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to get back on this call with you today. We are on day 2 of the Masterclass from Hustle to Wealth Identity. I am your teacher today. I'm your host. I'm your mentor. I'm Shani Leatham, transformation specialist and wealth identity mentor out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I am just, oh my goodness, blessed to be here to teach you, to guide you, to help you get out of the state of hustle and struggle and overworking and overdoing and all the overs, and into a state of living from a wealth identity and all that it includes. So as with yesterday, there was so much to learn, so much to go through. And there's going to be just as much today. So we're going to begin right away. So I'm just going to go straight into housekeeping, okay? Today's lesson is for an hour and a half. We start at 12 p.m. today until 1:30 Eastern time. So in this little bit of time, I've got to jam-pack a whole bunch of information and stuff for you to learn. So I'm really excited about it. If you registered for this event, then you will get the replay emailed to you. However, if you didn't, that's okay. It will live on my YouTube channel, Shani Leatham, in perpetuity, so forever. So it will be posted by the end of today. If you did not get the opportunity to watch day 1, so yesterday's, where we focused really on what hustle looks like, what hustle mode looks like and feels like, and how it's controlling your life, that's also already shared onto the YouTube channel. So I invite you to go ahead and take a look at that, okay? And while you're at it, like, we're starting to grow it, so go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe. As you're coming in, please let me know where you're watching from. Feel free to say hi. Feel free to comment. Feel free to add your questions. There were a lot of questions yesterday, and I got a lot of DMs, but you can put your questions in the comments, and we will get to them as we can get to them. Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, because you're just like, I don't want people up in my business, send me a message and I will answer as best as I can, as quickly as I can, okay? So their comments and questions are definitely accepted. They're welcome, and we'll do that. Also, you can book a consult call with me. So I do free consultation calls. They're about half an hour on Zoom, and we can chat. We can chat about all things that have to do with your growth, your elevation, your ascension, your transformation. And it's one of my favorite things to do because we get to connect with each other on a different level. You get to see if I'm the kind of person that you want to hire as your transformation coach. And you also get to see and get an inkling into why you behave the way you do. Okay? So again, please feel free to do that. I will post the link to book the consultation calls shortly. Okay? I will also be talking about our program, Unlimited. So that's our specialty program, our signature program. It's a 6-month immersive program. I'm going to be talking about that today, which is the next step after you've completed these 2 days. If you find that after you've learned what you've learned and you've experienced some tingling and you've experienced whatever it is that you've experienced and you want to do more, Unlimited is your next step. Okay, so I'll be talking a little bit about that today. Again, we can speak more about it on the consult call, or you can DM me. I will put the link in the bio for that as well, for you to review, okay? To some of you, what you may hear might be unconventional, and that's fine. It's fine with me. And the reason I say that it's unconventional is because we've been conditioned to behave and to learn in a certain way. And in that certain way, we focus very heavily on strategy. So step A, B, C, D, all the way to Z. Okay? Tell me exactly what to do, exactly how to do it, how to speak, how to sound, what to think, all of those things. This is not just strategy. Okay? While strategy is good, strategy without the right identity is going to be a moot point, because you're going to be doing the things from the lens of a person who's always in a rush, who doesn't seek the best for themselves, who doesn't deem themselves worthy, who doesn't think that they can accomplish what they want to accomplish. So we focus on the identity shift first and then the strategy. And so again, if it's uncomfortable for you, that's good. Good. I'm happy about that, because you're allowing yourself to see and hear and experience something a little different, and that's good. Now, the last thing I'll say before we get started is I always pray over all of you who are watching, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching over the replay. And I believe whether you do or not, that's cool. You're just going to have to sit there and indulge me. So Lord God, thank you so much for gathering us here together. Thank you for allowing me to teach, to guide, to mentor all those who have come across this video and this page. I ask you to help them as they're preparing for their own transformation. I ask you to speak through my vocal cords and think through my mind. Nothing missing, nothing broken. It's all of you and none of me. And it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, let's go. I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, so before we really go anywhere, I want to recognize what you've done yesterday. For those of you who had the opportunity to be a part of our call yesterday. Yesterday was not mindset talk. That's all cute and everything, but it was not mindset talk. It was not about motivation. It wasn't like anything like that. It was literally a diagnostic. Like when you go to the mechanic and they run the diagnostic on your car to see all the things that are working and all the things that need improvement. That's exactly what yesterday was. And so yesterday, you didn't learn how to hustle better. Okay? You didn't learn how to optimize your productivity. You didn't learn how to squeeze more out of yourself, because what's the point of that? You're already squeezing so much out of yourself. And so yesterday you saw that hustle is not actually high performance as many people believe it is. And struggle is not a virtue. Struggle is not a virtue. That's literally over-efforting. It's not strength. It's not strength. So we got you to look at things in a different way. You saw that what most people call drive is actually a prolonged stress response. That's what you learned yesterday. You saw that a nervous system learned nothing happens unless I push. That's not good. You saw that struggle becomes an ego identity. That's what you saw. And that for many people, being the one who has it hard, because there's always somebody who has it hard, it literally has become their own personality. That's who they are. And it becomes a belonging strategy. And it becomes a story that really, really quietly says, look how much I endure. Look how strong I am. Hey, look at me. Look at me because I'm worthy. Look at me, I'm worthy because I suffer so much. Right? You saw how identity unconsciously seeks proof. Always seeking proof. And you see, it seeks confirmation. It seeks people and environments and conversations that reinforce that this is just how life is. And you saw how struggle and hustle don't just affect your schedule, but they actually train your subconscious. We saw that. And so they wire your expectations. They wire your baseline. They wire what feels normal. You saw what hustle identity it looks like in real life. That was on day one. And what did that look like? Constant urgency, always on the go, never feeling done, always behind or always feeling like you're behind. You're always preparing. You're doing all the researching till your face turns blue. You're sitting in all the webinars. Study, study, study. You're always chasing. You're always almost there. You saw that doing more has never, ever, ever been the solution. You learned that yesterday, okay? Because strategy can't override self-concept. Because strategy cannot override self-concept. Because identity is the thermostat, and because behavior always follows who you believe you are. That's why strategy is not important yet. It's the identity first. Behavior always follows who you believe you are. And so yesterday was about awareness. It was about seeing the old operating system within us. It was about seeing the loops, the things that we do on repeat that we don't even notice. It was unconscious. It was about seeing how struggle is built. So the architecture of it, right? But today is going to be different. And I'm excited about that for not only myself, but I'm excited about it for you, because today we're not going to dissect the old stuff anymore, okay? We're just going to install newness. That's what today is about. And It's about building the internal architecture of a person who expects to be supported, who expects to succeed, who expects to live life to the fullest. Okay? It's of the person who assumes that resources move towards them, that they don't have to chase them. They're coming to you. It's like you're attracting them to you, like attraction marketing. Okay? It's for the people who experience effort as focused and effective, not wild and crazy and frantic. Okay? For people who expand without self-sabotage. A lot of people self-sabotage. Today's not going to be about pretending, okay? It's not about delusion. It's not about delulu is the salulu. It's not about that. It's not going to be about affirmations, okay? And affirmations layered on top of exhaustion because you're already working so damn hard and you're tired for the most part. So you don't need any of that nonsense. You don't need the thinking positive. You need structural change. Structural identity change, and that's what today is about. So you're going to learn about that today, okay? What wealth identity actually consists of, you're going to learn about that. You're going to learn how it's built. You're going to learn what the internal pillars are that create it, because there are internal pillars. You're going to learn what makes wealth identity stable. You're going to learn what makes it self-sustaining. Okay, so I want you to have a wealth identity and bring more wealth into your life and in all aspects of your life. But I also want you to sustain it, not just have it and lose it. I want you to have it and just keep welcoming it and let it grow and let it grow and let it grow and let it grow and let it grow. Deal? Okay. And you're also going to learn how to begin embodying it in real life. So what that looks like is not just the intellectual knowledge of it, but it's how to live it. Because that's very, very important to me. So we're going to begin the foundation right now. I did so much talking yesterday. If you're really paying attention, you can hear how hoarse my voice is, but the show must go on. I've got so much to share with you today. Okay. So also I want to let you know that today you're going to see things painted in contrast. So I'm going to talk a lot about what the struggle identity and hustle identity looks like versus the wealth identity. And the reason that I'm doing it in contrast is because it's going to be easier for you to see it. Again, I could just give you all the information, but if you can't see it, you're not going to retain it. You're not going to do anything about it. You're not going to apply it. Okay? So most people think that wealth identity means thinking rich thoughts, right? And that it's visualizing money and it's wanting abundance and all of that stuff. But that's just surface level. Wealth identity is not a vibe. Vibes upon vibes upon vibes. It's not that. It's not aesthetic. It's not positive thinking. It's actually and literally an internal structure. Okay, so just like a building, I want you to picture a building. Like if the building structure is weak, what do you think is going to happen? No amount of decoration is going to make it stable. Not at all. So you can put gold paint on the building. You can put gold paint on the collapsing house. It's still collapsing. Yes? So let's talk about the architecture of wealth identity. Any solid structure has three things. The first thing is a foundation. The second thing is load-bearing pillars. And the third thing is a roof. Okay? So in wealth identity, the foundation is what we call safety. Your pillars are worthiness, expectation, capacity, and your roof is identity integration. So that's the becoming it, the embodiment of it, okay? So I'm going to walk you through it bit by bit by bit. So let's talk about the foundation, which is safety, okay? So at the deepest level, wealth identity begins with nervous system safety. Now, a lot of people are talking about the nervous system lately. It's like a buzz term. But it's so important because if your nervous system is not regulated, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you try, it's not going to work, it's not going to last, it's going to be half-assed, you're going to be disappointed, okay? So it begins with nervous system safety. It doesn't begin with excitement or hype or motivation, just safety, okay? And because your subconscious is always asking one question, and the question is this: is it safe for me to have more? Is it safe for me to have more? And it's not asking, do I want more? That's not the question. It's not asking if I'm capable of more. It's, if I have more, will I be okay? Okay, so that's what your nervous system is asking. And most people consciously want wealth. They desire more. Even if they already have a lot of wealth, okay, they still want more. And the thing is, they unconsciously associate more with more responsibility. I had someone, I shared a post on how to do something. I don't remember what it was, or how to rewire your mind, your brain as a winner, and the things that come along with it. And one of the responses was, oh, but you're not talking about all the work that goes into it and all the responsibility that goes into it. And I was like, interesting that you're focusing on that, and that's why you don't have the things that you want. It's not about focusing on all the work, because there was no all the work. It was reframing, retraining your brain. You do things differently. You're aware of things differently. You get different results. Yeah? So they associate it with more responsibility, more pressure, more visibility, and more risk. Yeah? More potential loss, more money, more problems. That's what they associate it with. And so what that means for your body is your body will whisper, no, thank you. I don't want it. It's okay. It's too much. I can't deal with that. And so the first layer of wealth identity is, I am safe with expansion. Okay? I am safe with holding more. I am safe being seen, putting myself out there. I am safe having and experiencing things in an easy way. That's okay. I'm safe. And without this, the system defaults back to struggle. Okay? Because struggle feels familiar to a person who's in a struggle mode, who has a struggle identity. Familiar feels safe even when it's painful. So if that struggle feels safe because it's familiar, you're still going to go back to it, even though you don't desire it, even though you don't want any parts of it, okay? And so if you imagine a child who grew up in a noisy house, so there's always people yelling, their siblings, their parents are always yelling, their doors are always slamming, and it's just total chaos, right? And one day that child is placed into a quiet, calm home for whatever reason, okay? The reason is unimportant right now. So in this new environment, there's soft voices, slow mornings, there's some peace, there's no chaos at all. You would think they'd immediately feel better, right? And to some, they do. But often they feel uncomfortable. And they feel uncomfortable, or they feel restless, or they feel on edge, because quiet is like a stranger. It's unfamiliar. And so chaos was home because it was known to them. It felt right, even though it was wrong, even though it had them on edge. It felt right because it's what they knew. And this is why people relate to struggle. You know what I mean? It's not that they enjoy it. It's just that their nervous system recognizes it. And so wealth identity starts teaching the body that calm is safe. It's good. Ease is good. It's safe. Support is good. It's safe. Receiving is safe. And this is the foundation, okay? And so then when we move on to the pillars, remember there was worthiness. We're going to go into that one first. So worthiness answers the question, am I allowed to have good things without suffering first? Because I've never experienced that. So am I allowed to have good things? Am I allowed to have good things without suffering first? Most hustle identities, they carry this invisible rule that I have to earn my rest, or I have to earn like a smooth day, some like easygoing, slow-paced day. I have to earn that. I have to earn support. That's what hustle identities, the rule that they carry, right? But wealth identity, on the other hand, and this is the contrast, it carries a different rule. And that rule is, I am allowed. I'm allowed to have because I exist. That's it. Because I exist. It doesn't matter if you've worked enough. It doesn't matter, and it's not about you suffering enough. And it's not because you've proved enough. Like, you don't have to do all of those things, but simply because you are alive. Okay? That's the point. That's the point. And as long as you are here, you're allowed to have. You're allowed to have anything you want. You know, we have dominion over this earth. We just give up control to whoever we gave control to, you know? But this does not make you passive in any way. I want you to understand that, okay? You're not passive because you give yourself permission, right? You're not waiting for something to happen. It's yours because you already exist. You exist. So in a wealth identity, I'm allowed to have it. I'm just allowed to have it, okay? And so while from action from worthiness, it feels really different. The steps that you take from a place of worthiness, it feels different than the action you take from proving. Because proving energy says, I need to show life, people, friends, circumstances, whatever, that I deserve this. I need to prove it, right? Worthiness energy, on the other hand, says I move because I expect things to be aligned, period. I just expect it. I expect it to be aligned. I expect it to work out. And so it's the same actions, but different internal posture. And one creates exhaustion, you know which one, and one creates momentum. And that's what we desire. The second pillar is expectation. Okay, so expectation to me is huge, especially joyful expectation. I teach about this a lot, and it's better than hope. It is. It's better than wishing, just pure expectation, right? Because here's the thing. Expectation, if used in the wrong way, will get you the results that you don't want. So someone with a struggle identity, they expect problems. They expect delays. They expect obstacles. They expect anything that could go wrong will go wrong. Murphy's Law, right? Because that's the way they view the world and that's who they are. So when those things happen, it feels normal to them. They're like, yeah, knew it would happen. Knew it would happen. They're looking for opportunities for the universe to prove them right. And so that's what happened. Wealth identity expects movement. Okay? Wealth... Something going on outside. Wealth identity expects movement. And so it expects solutions and support. And it recognizes that not everything is perfect, but it still comes with the baseline assumption of things work out for me. Period. Things work out for me. I'm not going to worry because things work out for me. You know what? Things are tough right now, but things work out for me. Even if it's, I don't know how I'm going to pay this bill, but things work out for me. That's it. To God be the glory. Okay? That sentence alone is an identity. That sentence alone is an identity. And so if you listen to someone long enough, you can hear their expectation identity. You can hear what they expect out of life, out of themselves, out of others. And so some people always say, nothing ever works. I don't hang out with those people. And I suggest you don't either. Especially if you are that person, you're going to require some type of change. But other people will say something always shows up. We're always looking for, making sure we're aware of the possibilities in our favor. Okay? Again, different lives, different activity architecture, right? And then the third pillar is the capacity. And so capacity is the ability to hold more without collapsing. So it's more money, it's more clients, it's more responsibility, it's more visibility, it's more pleasure, it's more simplicity. Struggle identity has low capacity, right? So, and that affects every aspect of your life, every aspect of your life. And it's because they've been living their life in depletion. Wealth identity, by contrast, on the other hand, is built slowly by expanding your capacity. You've got to increase your capacity. I teach you how to do that within Unlimited, my signature program. But you're teaching the system that I can hold more. I can remain regulated. I can receive without crashing out, without freaking out. I can succeed without self-destruction. Okay? This is actually trained. It's not forced. It can't be forced. And then the last part of the architecture is the roof. Okay, the roof. So that's your identity integration. So this is when wealth is no longer something that you're trying to become, so desperately trying to become. It's something that you are being. You are being wealth. You are being health. You are being love. You are being joy. You are being the things. You're not being healthy and wealthy and loved. You are being them. Okay, so I am someone who is resourced. That's someone who is wealth. I am someone who always figures things out, right? That's someone who's got a wealth identity. I am someone that money responds to. Someone with a wealth identity. So I often tell my clients that when they're going through an identity shift, to use the language, I am someone who, or I'm the kind of person that. So for me, I'm the kind of person that money always finds. And once I started to believe that, that became my truth. Money found me everywhere I went, through opportunities, through work, through clients, on the floor, through people buying me dinner. Money always finds me. And so I live by that, and it's almost like I'm always aware, always in a situation where my truth is my truth. Money always finds me, okay? So these aren't affirmations in this case. They're literally a self-description, and there's a difference, a big, big difference. Because when identity integrates or it's embodied, your behavior will literally self-adjust. You won't even notice it's happening. Your choices will start to self-correct. Your standards are going to start to rise, and your boundaries are going to get real sharp, real quick. Okay? Opportunities are going to be visible. And it's not because you hunted harder for them. They've always been there. It's just that your perception has changed. The things that you're shining a spotlight on now has changed. Your awareness has changed. So yes, this is the architecture, and this is the actual structure. And this is why wealth identity lasts. Okay, my friend? This is why it lasts. And you don't even have to hype yourself up for it to happen. You don't have to like motivate yourself or do any of those things. And you don't have to do that because you'll have rebuilt your own internal building. Okay? And so today, everything we do builds onto this architecture. Everything we do builds onto this architecture. We're not layering on motivation or we're laying bricks, okay? We're Bob the Builder today. We're Bob the Builder, so it's going to be slow and intentional, but it's going to be permanent because I want this to stick for you and with you. And it's not about you becoming a different person, okay? Not per se. It's really about removing the survival costume that you've been wearing, okay? And that you've been wearing for far too long. So the resource version of you can lead. That's what needs to happen. That needs to lead. And well, honestly, that version of you already exists. Did you know? Did you know? Okay. So now that you understand the architecture of it, I want to talk about the biggest rupture point in almost every human nervous system. And you know what that is? Receiving. Receiving. And it's not from the standpoint of manifestation, just receiving. Just receiving. Because you can want wealth all you want. Okay? You can think about wealth. You can talk about wealth. You can even try to attract more opportunities. You can do all the things. But if your nervous system doesn't feel safe or secure receiving it, you're going to leak it. And you're going to deflect it. And you're going to reject it. And you're going to start delaying. And you're going to start complicating things. And it's going to be automatic. You won't even notice it. It's going to be very quiet. And so receiving is not a mindset skill, my friend. It's a safety skill. And so most people believe that they have a money problem. What they actually have is a receiving tolerance problem. A receiving tolerance problem. So if you think about it like this, if I tried to pour like a shit ton, a gallon of water into a cup, what do you think is going to happen? So a gallon of water into a cup, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to overflow, right? Of course it's going to overflow. And it does it because the container, which is the cup, is too small. And so your nervous system is the container or the cup. And your identity, which is who you believe you are, is the shape of the container. Okay? And so then the capacity to receive determines how much is going to stay. How much wealth is going to stay, how much love is going to stay, how much peace is going to stay, how much freedom is going to stay. But because we're talking wealth identity, how much wealth is going to stay. It's not about how much comes in, okay? It's about how much you keep. Not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And so many people have moments where money does show up, and that's great. And opportunities show up, and support shows up, and all the things show up, but it doesn't stabilize. It doesn't stabilize because it's not steady. It just shoots right up. It's like a spike. It's like when I got my first, when I manifested my first $100,000. And then the next step, gone. Gone. Okay? So it shoots right up and then it drops. That's what happens. And why is that? Because your nervous system isn't trained to hold that excess yet. So I want to talk about why receiving feels unsafe so we can change it and let it become safe. It actually feels a little dangerous to your subconscious. Okay? And so most humans have learned very early on that even though I know of unconditional love, that love was conditional, right? It's what they've experienced for the most part. And so the support you want or need, it comes and goes. So it's inconsistent. Praise has strings attached to it for some reason, and help always comes with expectations. It shouldn't. So it's one of those things where I helped you the last time, so I expect you to do something for me, like tit for tat, right? And so the subconscious made more associations, and that's what it does behind the scenes. And so the associations are, if I receive, I might owe, or if I receive, it might be taken away, or if I receive, I might lose control. If I receive, I might become dependent, right? And so this nervous system learned, and it's safer to rely on myself, on itself, instead of relying on others. And so it's safer to struggle, and it's safer to push, and it's safer to overfunction. And so when they say you're doing too much, that's what that is. You're overfunctioning, you're doing too much, right? It's safer to earn everything the hard way so no one can say anything about it. It's wild, but this becomes identity. And the identity is, I'm independent. I don't need help. Even though you're desperate for help. Desperate for help. And I'm speaking this because I've lived this. I've lived it for years. I would not say anything, even though I was desperate for help. Okay? Desperate, desperate, desperate for help. I would never utter a word. I don't know if it was pride, but for sure, struggle identity. And who wants to struggle? Who chooses to struggle? Okay? So I was like, I can handle things. That's what people do. And it sounds empowered, right? But it's not being in an empowered state. It's literally hustling for no reason. It's like parents, especially mothers, we do this thing, right? Where I can handle this. Okay, the other day I was supposed to take my daughter to her volleyball practice, and she also had an event at her school that I had to go and pay attention to, a meeting at school that I had to go to. So I was like, okay, I can take her to volleyball this way, and then I have to drive all the way across town so that I can make it to the meeting and sit in the seminar and listen, and then rush back to go pick her up. Why? Why, when I could just switch days with her dad? Like, you take her. But to me, I was just like, I can handle this. I could do this. I was involuntarily hustling. I went back to like an old behavior. So even though you're as learned and as transformed as ever, it's still a constant thing that you've got to work on. Another thing that we do, what do we do? When we go to the grocery store and we go to the car, we take all the groceries out all at once, and we are like struggling, but we are the Incredible Hulk because we don't want to make multiple trips, when we can very well ask for help. We're choosing to hustle. We're choosing to struggle, and it makes no sense. Okay? It makes no sense. And so if you have now a wealth identity, it requires a different rule, because the struggle identity is a trauma adaptation. That's what that is. It's not a conscious choice. It's just adapting to trauma that's happened before. Passed down trauma at that we don't even know of. Okay? That shit's real. That is very, very real. The wealth identity and the different rule is, well, you know what? I allow life to contribute to me. I allow it to contribute to me. And there's that word again, allow, right? That means like surrender into it. Let it happen. Because I live in a responsive universe. The universe responds to me. It does. Both good and bad. What we deem to be good and bad. It responds to us. It gives us what we ask. You know the universe is conspiring to help you, right? It is. It's conspiring to help you. But for some reason, even though you say you want the help, you don't believe the help will come, so you get what you believe. Okay? So while struggle identity says, I carry everything, wealth identity says, I'm carried as I move. Take care of me, please. Take care of me. And that's a subtle, but a massive, massive difference. Now, receiving does not mean not doing anything, okay? It doesn't mean doing nothing. Let's put that out there. It's not laziness, as many people think. It's not passivity, okay? It's not sitting on the couch and waiting for checks, although that is nice. That is nice. Receiving is openness, being open to receive, right? It's non-resistance. It's a lack of internal fighting because we fight ourselves so much, okay? It's not squeezing the hose and saying you're thirsty and you want some water. Can you picture it? It's not doing that. That's not what it is. You can be highly active and deeply receptive. You can be doing the things and deeply receptive. The difference is your internal posture. So do you have the posture of struggle or do you have the posture of wealth identity? So the posture of struggle says, I have to make this happen or it won't happen. I have to or else. We're threatening, okay? A receiving posture says, I take aligned action and I allow the support to meet me. Meet me where I am, right? I'm still going to go out and do the things, but meet me where I am. That's what receiving posture is. And that's essentially like, it means that you're taking intentional steps that resonate with who you are, okay? It resonates with your values. It resonates with your intuition, okay? And you do that rather than acting from a place of fear or force or obligation. Can you feel it? One feels really heavy and the other one feels like cooperation. It feels cooperative, and that's what you want. If it feels too heavy, it's not right for you. It's not right for you, and that's in all aspects of your life, okay? So how can you tell if somebody has a receiving tolerance? What they do is they minimize compliments. Actually, I want you to pay attention to this. If there's anything that I say here in this next section that resonates with you, just put like a star in the comments, okay? Put a star in the comments. A star, a heart, whatever, a number 1. But I'm pretty certain that it's going to resonate. I'm pretty certain that it's going to resonate. So they minimize compliments. They deflect praise because it makes them uncomfortable, right? They feel really uncomfortable about being helped. I could put a finger down, put a finger up. That was me. They over-explain. They over-justify their prices. They feel guilty when things go well. They downplay their wins. They feel weird when money comes in easily. It comes in without a fight, and they feel weird about it. Okay? They unconsciously create complications because their system hasn't practiced holding ease. Now, if you think about lifting weights, right? You're at the gym or wherever you are at home, maybe you're lifting weights. If you've never lifted more than 10 pounds, 50 pounds is going to feel real crazy and dangerous to you, right? Like lifting 50 is going to feel real crazy and dangerous to you. And it's not because the 50 pounds is actually or objectively bad. It's just that your muscles aren't trained for that yet. Receiving is a muscle and it has to be trained. So if you cannot accept something as small as a compliment, how do you think you can accept something as large as wealth? I don't mean rich, I mean wealth. So pay attention to your capacity for receiving, okay? Which brings me to my next point. You don't have to deserve it. You don't have to deserve it. Deservingness is not a belief. You already deserve it. Like, you don't have to think about that, okay? And this is important because people try to fix deservingness with affirmations. They say, I deserve good things. I deserve good things. I deserve to be here. I deserve all of this. But deservingness is something, or it's not something that you think about. It's not intellectual. It's lived. It's embodied. It's a body level knowing. A body level knowing is what I want to say, okay? And so a person who feels deserving doesn't think I deserve this. They know it. They just accept it. It's just what it is. They don't argue about it. They don't negotiate anything. They don't flinch or freak out. They just receive it. They just receive. And so there's the absence of internal protest. And that's the marker, because we protest all the time. We fight all the time. We say no to all the time internally, okay? So our goal is not to convince your mind. That's not what it is. Our goal is to calm your body while receiving. But first, you have to allow it. So I'm going to take you through a little micro practice, I'm going to take you through a micro practice, something that you can do on your own. You can do it at home, but we're going to do it here. I'm going to walk you through it so you can see little ways to receive, so that receiving becomes more normal to you, so that you can continue to increase your capacity for more. We're not going to start with receiving millions, okay? We're not going to start with that because you're not going to believe it. We're going to start with something really, really tiny. And it's because your nervous system learns through repetition, not logic, okay? So I want you to start noticing all the moments of receiving. So this afternoon, tomorrow, start noticing all the moments of receiving. So when someone holds the door for you, or when somebody compliments you, or somebody offers you help, or somebody gives you a discount, somebody buys you a coffee, maybe someone sends you a kind message, maybe someone just smiles at you and you don't scowl. You smile back, right? What are they smiling at? You're not doing that, okay? Instead of deflecting or minimizing it or rushing past it, as a lot of people often do, I just want you to pause. I want you to take a breath and just say, thank you. That's it. Thank you. You can do that, right? And then you're just going to let it land. You're going to receive it. You're going to receive it. And then what I want you to do is notice the sensations that arise, okay? Notice the discomfort, if there's any, that arise in your body or the thoughts in your mind. I want you to notice if there's an urge to quickly move past it. That typically happens when somebody says something kind about you. You know what? You were really great at that presentation. Oh, thank you. It was a group effort. So, how was the weather? Like, rushing past it. Okay? I want you to just sit with the idea for a second, for a few seconds, 10 seconds. Somebody gave me a compliment. Somebody did something nice for me. Somebody opened the door. Whatever the thing was, that's really small, okay? This is you repatterning. We need to repattern so we can increase your capacity for more. It's a must. So you are teaching your body in this instant that I can receive and remain unharmed. It's okay, y'all. It's okay. I'm going to be just fine. Okay? And you're going to do it in tiny reps, because these tiny reps will give you massive rewiring. So I want you to do this today. When we're done the call, when you're out, when you talk to somebody, whatever it is, and notice it every day. These little micro receiving practices. Just pay attention to it. Tiny things. Tiny things. You will literally increase your capacity for more. And what happens is, when somebody pays you a compliment and you're like, wow, thank you, it's almost like a trigger saying, oh, they received that really well. Let me give them something else. And they're like, you know what? Thank you for that. You bought me a coffee? Wow, thank you so much. It notices, they're dealing really well with this. Let me give more. Oh, wow, you want to buy me dinner? Wow, thank you so much. It notices. Let me give you some more. What do you mean there's $300? It notices. $500, $10,000, $20,000, $1 million, because you're increasing your capacity for more in tiny increments, in a micro practice. So please, for the love of all things, make sure that you're doing that. Make sure that you're doing that, okay? What else do I want to say? I need a drink. Okay. So what you have to understand is that when you can receive, it expands your identity. So that's to say it expands who you are. And so every time you allow something to be easy, and you got to allow it to be easy, it's like you're casting a vote. You're putting a ballot, your vote into the ballot box, okay? And the vote is, I'm someone that life holds up. Oh, evidence. Let me vote for that. And every time you accept help, it's, I'm someone who's not alone. Cast that vote. Oh, and every time you let money come in without overworking and feeling bad, if somebody's trying to help you and maybe you need some money and you need a loan, or you do it without feeling guilty, right? You're like, I'm someone who doesn't have to suffer to receive. Cast the vote. Oh, that's good, right? Your identity is built through repetition, and it's built through lived evidence, not through motivational speeches or anything like that. And it's not through journaling by itself, okay? But experiences that contradict the old story. And your old story was suffer, your old story was struggle, your old story was all the things that you don't desire that make you feel bad. We're moving past that. We're creating new stories by casting new votes, okay? And so we create these experiences, and we do it on purpose, and we do it on a consistent basis. That's how you start retraining and rewiring yourself. Now, if receiving expands your identity, then your wealth identity actually expects to receive. You expect to receive. I sure as hell do. You expect to receive. And so this is a big reframe. If you have never been a person who has the expectation of things coming to you, good things being brought to you, it's okay. Because we're tapping back into the idea of expectation that we spoke about earlier, okay? So struggle identity feels surprised by good things. Somebody, hey Shani, here's $100. Oh my gosh. As opposed to, you know what? I felt like something good was coming to me today. Because I have the expectation. Struggle identity feels surprised by good things. You shouldn't be surprised by good things, because remember, like, you could be paid to exist. You, by virtue of being alive, deserve good things. That's that. So you have to expect good things, but not in an entitled way. You know what I mean? Just like in a neutral way, like water is wet, like breathing, like the sun will come out tomorrow, like gravity, like tomorrow is coming. Like, we know that the sun's rising. I know these things are going to happen, so I expect them. And because I expect them, expectation creates relaxation in this way. And so then relaxation will allow for a new perception. And that's good. And that new perception is going to reveal those opportunities, because you're aware of things differently now. And even though those opportunities have always been there, you just never saw them. Now you're looking at them. They're popping up left, right, and center. The glasses are off. You can see them. This is the loop. This is the loop, okay? And this is what you desire. This is what it should be. So all that to say is, you don't need to force yourself to feel deserving, okay? And you don't need to convince yourself that you're worthy. You already are. And you don't need to earn the right to exist. You don't need to earn the right to exist. You need to practice staying present when life gives things to you. While it gives things to you. That's it. Just practice being present, staying present. Put the phone down at the concert. Watch the concert. Enjoy the concert. Be present. Put the phone down at dinner with your family. Talk to them. Be present in the moment. That's it. That's the work. Because wealth identity is not built by chasing money, friend. It's not. It's built by becoming someone who can calmly hold what arrives. So can you hold what arrives? How are we doing on time? Okay, not too bad. So up to this point, you've learned what hustle identity is. You've learned how it forms. You've learned why it lasts. You've learned what it's built from and why receiving is your gateway, right? You've learned that. So now comes an important question. How do I actually install a new wealth identity? How do I do that? I don't want to do it intellectually or conceptually. I want it to be practical. I want it to be neurological. I want it to stick. I want it to be somatic, which means that it's within your body, right? I want it to be behavioral, which is in my actions. How can I install that? Because identity is not something that is chosen once, okay? It's conditioned through repetition. You can't just say, hey, I'm a millionaire today, and that's it, forever and ever, amen. You're just saying it's an affirmation. You're not living the experience, right? And you can live the experience before having the evidence, okay? But that's a story for another time. We can talk about that later. Every identity that you've ever had was installed through experience. And it wasn't through deciding, like, again, I'm a millionaire. It wasn't that. Like, you didn't just wake up one day and say, I choose to identify as someone who struggles. I think that's who I'll be today. I choose to identify as someone who struggles. You didn't do that. Because, honey, if you did, whew, I'm gonna look at you sideways, right? You lived patterns and you repeated behaviors and you collected evidence and your nervous system adapted. So an identity was then formed. That's what happened. And what that means is we install wealth identity in the exact same way. You're not going to force it, and you're not doing it by pretending. It's not happening by positive thinking, which is good, but you're doing it through deliberate micro embodiment. And we focus heavily upon that in Unlimited, by the way, okay? But I want to give you a simple program, a simple update, a simple model. I want to give you a simple model just so you can see it and understand it, okay? Identity is built through 3 feedback loops, okay? 3 feedback loops. The first one is what you assume. The second one is what you repeat. And the third one is what you tolerate. So what you assume, what you repeat, and what you tolerate. These are your feedback loops. When you change those three, your identity must change. It's inevitable, right? It has to change. So if we focus on the first one, which is shifting assumptions, let us understand that assumptions are really just the quiet sentences that are running in the background of your mind, right? Those things you assume, okay? We don't typically hear them, but we always obey them. And so I'm going to do the contrast here. So if you have a struggle identity, the assumptions sound like, if it feels easy, it's not going to last. I've heard that so many times. If I stop pushing, everything will fall apart. It sounds like there's never quite enough. So clients, time, energy, opportunities, money, there's just never quite enough. Or I'll feel safe once I hit the next milestone. I'll feel good when I get my $50,000 a month. I'll feel good when I get the job. I'll feel good when I have the new home. I'll feel good when I'm in this relationship. Okay? That's struggle. That's struggle, it's scarcity, it's fear, it's lack. Okay? Or success requires pressure. Because a lot of people think, it's all about pressure. And what do we always say? Pressure bursts pipes, but it also makes diamonds? You don't need to have pressure all the time. Okay? Unless you want a diamond. Unless you want a diamond, okay? Or you start thinking the moment that things go well, I got to brace for impact because I know the other shoe's going to fall. Something is bound to happen. Struggle identity assumes that people will respect me more when I'm busy. Right? So I work less now and I make more than I ever had before. When I was working like a dog, as the saying goes, I was making less, And it is true that I thought that people would respect my hustle because I'm doing so much to earn peanuts, okay? To earn peanuts. But that they don't care. They're focused on themselves. Some people will be like, oh, you know what? She works hard. Respect. I work hard too, but I just do less now. Okay? So just putting that out there. The wealth identity assumptions sound like, I'm allowed to enjoy what I built, man. I'm allowed to enjoy it. Like, compliment me. I did that. I'm allowed to enjoy that. Or my next level of success feels natural to me. Like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not scared of it. It feels natural to me. Or my capacity expands without self-sacrifice. I don't have to sacrifice anything to grow my capacity. It also sounds like my energy is an asset, right? It's not something that I have to deplete. I take this energy very seriously in how I spend it. I'm not just going to spend it on anything or anyone, okay? It also sounds like I don't chase, I position. Please let the church say amen. I don't chase, I position, yeah? I don't need pressure to perform. I'm just going to perform. And money always finds me. There it is again. Money always finds me. And so you don't start by believing the new assumptions fully, okay? Let's be real. You're not going to believe it right away, because then it's just an affirmation. But you start by allowing them as possibilities. So what if it was possible that money always finds me? What would that feel like? What would that be like? What would I do if money always found me? It's possible. So you're going to start allowing them as possibilities, and it's going to go from that's not true to, maybe that could be true, right? And so that's enough just to open the loop. That's good. That's good. Okay. And so your practice, and I'm going to ask you to write this down. What I want you to do is choose 3 simple wealth identity assumptions. Okay. For example, it could be things can be easier than I expect. It could be I'm allowed to receive support. There's that allowed again. It could be money can come in ways I don't predict. Right? And just repeat them. Repeat them gently. Repeat them gently. And you're not doing it to convince yourself, okay? But you're introducing new language to yourself. Because language comes before the perception, and the perception comes before the experience. Just like belief precedes manifestation. It's the same. The language, what you say, comes before how you see, what you're aware of. And what you're aware of, you have to be aware of things first, and then you will experience something different. Okay? So, the next thing you can do is install through micro behaviors. So tiny, tiny behaviors. I'm giving you guys all the goods. This is how to do it. This is the how to do it. Listen, big personality changes fail. They just fail. You can't go from shy and timid to like, you can go to that, but it's not going to last. It's going to fail. I deserve a record deal, by the way. But the tiny identity, consistent behaviors, those ones succeed, okay? Those ones succeed. So what are the behaviors that need to be replaced? Let's talk about that. Because they're the struggle behaviors that are like overworking, over-explaining, over-delivering, over-committing, all the overs, okay? Overdoing it, doing too much. They can be replaced with wealth identity behaviors that look like pausing before you react, choosing the simpler option, like it doesn't have to be so complex, by letting someone else lead sometimes. That would be good. And that's hard for a person who does not like to relinquish control. But it must be done. Saying no without justification, because as far as I'm concerned, no is a complete sentence. Okay? It can be done by raising your standards very quietly. It can be done by noticing what drains your energy and start making adjustments to that or to them. These behaviors, they look small, but they're super extreme. They look so small, little shifts, but they're really extreme because behavior is how identity proves itself to the subconscious. Okay? Behavior is how the identity proves itself to the subconscious. And so every time you choose ease, simplicity, soft over force, again, you're casting a vote. And you're voting, I'm not a struggler, right? And every time you stop rushing, you're voting, I'm not in survival mode. Okay? And every time you rest without feeling guilty, can we say something about that? Because that used to be my life. You're voting, I'm safe. That's it. And if you get enough votes, then the identity flips. Flip the house. Okay? Flip the tables, whatever it is. The next thing you've got to do is change what you tolerate, friend. Change what you tolerate. And this one also is huge. I think every one of them are huge, but this is how you install this wealth identity. So, or any new identity at that. So, struggle identity, it tolerates chaos. We know that, okay? It tolerates last minute scrambling. It tolerates being underpaid. It tolerates being undervalued. It tolerates being exhausted all the time. It tolerates doing the work and getting no recognition for it. It tolerates someone saying your name wrong and you never correcting them, even though it bothers you. Okay? Okay. So, wealth identity doesn't do that. There was so much communication happening right there. I hope you picked up on it. Wealth identity does not do that. It notices that, you know what, this doesn't work for me anymore. And then you adjust. And that's okay. That's totally okay. And sometimes externally or in our 3D world, and sometimes it happens internally, which is within us. And so tolerance is an identity declaration. Okay? It's an identity declaration. So whatever you tolerate, you're telling your subconscious that this is who I am. So how are you going to allow people to treat you? What are you going to tolerate? Because this is who you are. Okay? So I want you to ask yourself, what am I currently tolerating that a wealthy version of me would not ever normalize? What am I currently tolerating that a wealthy version of me would not ever normalize? Just pick one thing, not 10, just one thing, okay? And then when you answer that, that's going to become your first upgrade. Yay! Your first upgrade. The fourth thing that you're going to do is you're going to become interested in the version of you that's wealthy. So interested in the wealthy version of you, okay? I want you to become curious. I want you to become curious because curiosity is non-threatening, okay? It's definitely non-threatening to the nervous system. So this is where you're going to write these things down, okay, friend? I've got a few questions for you, or you can just come back to it, but I highly recommend that you're writing these things down. These are the questions that I want you to consider, okay? So ask yourself, how would wealth me walk into a room? So how would wealth Shani walk into a room? How would wealth me respond to stress? So how would wealth Shani respond to stress? How would wealth me relate to money? How would wealth Shani relate to money? Okay? Then I want you to try on these little tiny elements like it's part of an outfit. Okay? Don't put the whole thing on. Just one accessory. Okay? Just try it on. One mannerism, one choice. This is identity play. And when we were younger, we loved to play. And then we got older and we stopped playing, and then life became boring. And then we started struggling. Okay? This is identity play, and play is literally how mammals learn. So you got to start playing, okay? Seriousness locks identity while play evolves it. So play with the answers, okay? Play with the answers. And then you've got to detach from timeline identity. So, and this is, again, another set of contrasts. So struggle identity is married to the timeline. If you have a struggle identity, you're married to the outcome, the timeline, like when's it happening? So you're going to ask yourself, well, why is it taking so long? Or I did the work, where are the results? Right? I can't afford for this to take months. Like I need this to happen now, or everyone is further ahead than me. Like what's going on? But the wealth identity is process oriented. It's not just focused on the time. It's focused on the whole shebang, the process, okay? So it's focused on I am becoming, okay? What's meant for me is organizing. I'm building something durable, and you're allowing that to happen. There's that word again, allow, okay? People with a wealth identity, they're not complacent, okay? Just so you know, but rather they understand compounding, okay? They trust their daily upgrades and they don't emotionally collapse if things lag. They stay oriented, and orientation is an identity anchor. And then the next thing you're going to do is create daily identity contact, okay? So not some huge ritual. I'm not into that, okay? But you're just going to spend 5 minutes tapping in. That's it. So ask yourself, who am I becoming, right? What did I do today that matches that? Write this down. Do I have to tell you? Who am I becoming? What did I do today that matches that? Okay. And then what's one small action I can take tomorrow that aligns with who I'm becoming? So what's one action I can do tomorrow that aligns? That's it. That's it. This literally keeps your identity thread alive. Okay. And identity fades when it's not contacted. So you gotta pay attention to what feeds the pattern. Pay attention, contact it every so often. And a really important truth is, while you're going through this process and you're installing your wealth identity or whatever identity you desire, you're not going to feel like a wealthy person first. Sorry, you're not going to feel like a wealthy person first. You will behave like a wealthy person first. That's how it works. And then you're going to feel like one later. So just so you know, that's what to expect, okay? And why does this happen? Because feeling follows behavior, okay? It's not the other way around. Feelings follow behavior. So if you're waiting to feel ready, that's a struggle identity. And I need you to move past that. I need you to move past that, okay? You are moving past that. That's why we're here. Waiting to feel ready, waiting to know more, waiting for the money, waiting. Struggle identity. Out with it, okay? So moving gently while unsure is wealth identity. That's it, taking some steps, even though you're not completely sure. You might have 60% of the information and jump into something. That's what the wealthiest people I know do. They don't have all the information, they just know 60% of it. They'll figure it out as they go along. That's the difference between people who I know are struggle-minded and wealth-minded, okay? So that's why somebody could pay a down payment for a house and they don't know how they're going to pay for the rest of it yet, but they trust. They're unsure, but they trust. It'll work out. It's like paying up front for a program before you go through the actual program. You're unsure of how it's going to work out, but you trust that it's going to work out, okay? That's how this works, okay? So you're not just trying to leap into your new self. You're just installing a new operating system. And it's like one small file at a time. I like to speak in pictures so you guys get it, okay? You don't need to become someone else. You're removing outdated software. That's it. That's it. And so wealth identity is not a performance. It's like a permission slip per se. Okay, so it's permission to stop surviving and to stop proving and to be supported. That's what that is. Okay. Now I want to get a little bit deeper, go a little bit deeper into the embodiment portion of it. And this is where we translate identity into lived reality. As far as I'm concerned, you can learn everything that you want, but if you don't embody it, it's not going to stick. Okay. So up to this point, we've talked about what wealth identity is and how it's structured. We talked about how it's installed. Now we're going to talk about something even more important, and that is the how it's lived. Okay. And so I say that because wealth identity is not something that you turn on during visualization. It's not. And you don't turn it off when you open your emails. That's not how it works. It's not like manifestation mode, being in manifestation mode. It's not a personality for you to cosplay. That's not what it is. It's just a way of relating to life. And so this is where a lot of people get confused because they expect wealth identity to feel flashy and feel powerful and feel confident and feel bold. That's what they expect. And sometimes it does. It's true. But most of the time it just feels real calm and real chill and real sure. and unremarkable at best. And I say that because stability feels boring to a nervous system that's addicted to chaos. Okay? Stability feels boring to a nervous system that's addicted to chaos. And so wealth identity feels like, I got this, not I need to rush. So I want to break this down into 3 lived expressions that will help you understand this. So the first is decision making. The second is, you know what, I'm just going to do 2. Decision making and standards, possibly, depending on time. How are we doing for time? We'll see. So wealth identity and daily decision making, you have to make decisions every day. So struggle identity makes room or makes decisions from a place of fear, right? Because we don't want to experience something, so we do the thing so we don't experience it. Wealth identity makes decisions from orientation, from the possibilities. I'm doing something to experience pleasure, not to not experience pain. Do you see the difference? So struggle would ask questions like, well, what if this doesn't work? And what if I mess up? And what if I choose wrong? Wealth identity questions sound like, which option supports my nervous system? Even saying it sounds weird, doesn't it? Even hearing it sounds weird, doesn't it? Because it's not the type of language that people typically use. And so, which option supports my nervous system? Which options go best with who I'm becoming? Which option feels clean? Not easy, not even comfortable, just clean. And to me, clean means there's no internal lying. You're not lying to yourself about what's happening. There's no self-betrayal. There's no heavy aftertaste. You do the thing and you feel real bad after, okay? Wealth identity chooses fewer things. And it does that because it's really selective. It's intentional. And so struggle identity says yes really, really quickly and then resents it. It's like saying yes to plans you made 2 weeks ago and then the date happens and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it, right? Wealth identity pauses, it checks in, and then it responds. And that pause alone is an identity upgrade. There's so much going on outside my home right now. Okay. Even when wealth identity makes mistakes, and people with a wealth identity, we make mistakes. We're human, okay? You're still not going to catastrophize things. You just adjust. That's it. You adjust. So struggle identity will say, shit, I blew it, right? Wealth identity says, noted, got it. Okay, adjust, course correct. What's next? It's the same event, it's just a different identity. And I say that this is huge because catastrophizing actually collapses the capacity that you're working so hard to build, to increase. But the adjustments is what builds the capacity. And that's why I gave you those micro exercises, the micro practices that you can do to increase your capacity, okay? Now, let's talk about the standards. Standards are invisible identity declarations as far as I'm concerned. It's what I declare. I decree and I declare it. They're just invisible identity declarations. It's not what you say that you want, but it's what you're allowing. There's that word again. Okay? Wealth identity quietly raises your standards. It's good. And it doesn't do it through ultimatums, though. It does it through choices. So, for example, not staying in conversations that actually drain you. Okay? Not underpricing out of fear, as a lot of people do. They say, you know what? I can reach more customers if I lower my price. No, just find people who can afford your price. You know? Don't devalue your business, reevaluate yourself. They say it's not rushing because someone else is panicking. How many times has someone said, come on, we gotta go. And you're just like, okay. No. Don't rush because other people are panicking. It's not abandoning yourself to meet more expectations. Don't do that. This is responsive, okay? So wealth identity respects its own bandwidth. Struggle identity ignores it. And so then wealth identity treats itself as a valuable asset because it is. Because it sees itself as the asset, where struggle identity sees itself as expendable, and that's the difference. So how do you know if that wealth identity is actually installing? Let's talk about that for a second. And I'll say it's not because you're going to feel real euphoric or have some serious intense feelings. You might not even notice anything happening within you. You might not notice it at all, okay? It's certainly not because everything is perfect, because nothing is perfect. It'll never be perfect. There will always be circumstances. Shit will hit the fan. It's how you respond to it, okay? But what it is, you'll know it's because you're pausing more, because you're reacting less, because you choose differently now. You're going to know because you tolerate less nonsense. Can the church say amen? Okay? You feel less urgency, a lot less pressure. You feel more neutrality around money. It just is what it is. You recognize that money is a tool. That's it. Right? You recover faster from setbacks. You don't spiral for as long as you used to. That's how you know it's installing. And these are massive wins. These are massive wins, even if no one sees them, especially if no one sees them, okay? Because your identity change is really quiet, but the results lag behind the identity every time. And this is why and where most people quit. Because they're like, I'm doing the things, I'm not seeing the results. But wealth identity understands the lag. Farmers don't dig up their seeds every day. They water it, and then they wait. And then they trust the process. Same thing. So if wealth identity is agricultural, then struggle identity is like a microwave. Okay? I think that's a pretty damn great analogy, if I say so myself. Okay? Now, the core embodiment, there's a sentence that you could start saying. It's just, again, I'm the kind of person that. That's how you're going to start embodying it when you're using words. I'm the kind of person that, fill in the blank. So I'm the kind of person that life responds to. I'm the kind of person that always finds a way. I'm the kind of person that money always finds. I'm the kind of person that is resourceful. Whatever it is that you want to attach to that sentence, I'm the kind of person that. That language is so, so powerful. Okay? So living with a wealth identity is not about acting rich. It's not about pretending, and it's not about the aesthetics of it, right? It's just about becoming internally resourced. It's about being calm. It's about being selective and intentional. It's about trusting yourself. But from that place, money becomes a byproduct. Do you understand? From that place, money becomes a byproduct. And so opportunities then become visible again. Like I said, they were always there. They were always there, but your awareness in this case has changed. And so then support now becomes normal because you've changed the way you're doing your living. Okay? You've changed who is doing the living. And I also want you to understand this, okay? This is not a 2-day personality flip. It's not going to work like that. It's not going to work like that. It's, I guess if you want to call it an initiation, it's a doorway, so to speak, a new relationship with yourself. And once you step through, you're never going to go back to survival as home, ever, because you'll have been embodying something different. Now, before we close, I did say we we're going to talk about this briefly, okay? I want to talk about where this work actually lives, because what we've done over these 2 days, we've literally just opened a doorway. Okay, I'm so proud of you for sticking through this. We haven't walked the whole path yet though, okay? We've named the architecture. We have initiated the identity awareness. We've begun the installation. But embodiment happens through repetition, okay? Embodiment happens through repetition. It happens through guidance. It happens through reflection. It happens through practice. And through being in an environment where this way of thinking and feeling and living is actually normal. And that environment is unlimited, okay? And so the easiest way that I could explain to you or describe what unlimited is if you think about it as a conveyor belt. I know. You think about it as a conveyor belt. So you're going to step on this conveyor belt, and as it moves, slowly moving by, certain things naturally happen, okay? You're not going to force them to happen. You don't manually engineer each thing, right? Each one. You don't perfectly sequence anything. You're just going to stay on the belt. You're going to engage. You're going to show up. You're going to apply what you're learning, what you see. And then transformation unfolds in layers. So inside this program, you spend 6 months immersed in identity work, subconscious reprogramming, nervous system regulation, paradigm shifts, embodiment practices, wealth consciousness, self-concept reconstruction, letting go of old survival identities, and installing new internal standards. You're doing that for 6 months. It's study, yes, but it's also embodiment, okay? It's learning, but it's also lived experience, and it's releasing, but it's also building. And yes, it's fun. We have a good ass time in Unlimited because expansion gets to feel good. It deserves to feel good. It doesn't need to be heavy. Of course, there's going to be some things that you're going to confront within yourself, and you're going to be like, why did I do this for so long? But once we get past that, you're going to have such a good time. It doesn't need to be punishing this transformation of yours, okay? It doesn't even need to be traumatic. A lot of people are just like attracted to the trauma, and they feel that if there's some type of trauma attached, then it's meaningful. That's not my ministry, okay? So inside Unlimited, you don't just learn about wealth identity, you become it. You become it, and you become it through repetition and environment and reflection and through community and guidance. And could you take what you learned here and try to implement it on your own? Of course, absolutely. And some people will, and that's fine. And some change will happen, it's true, but there's a very real difference between trying to rewire yourself and being guided by someone who's already walked the path, okay? There's a difference between reading about identity or watching a video about identity and being inside the container that's designed to shape identity. There's a difference between the intellectual understanding and daily reinforcement. I'm not teaching you theory. I'm teaching you lived reality because I've lived this transformation. I went from foreclosure. I've always been honest about this. I went from foreclosure to 7 figures in less than a year through a massive identity shift. Okay? And it's not because I discovered that magic strategy. Like, even if I had a strategy, I would have fumbled it because of who I was at the time. Okay? It's not because I worked 20 hours a day. It's not because I suddenly became like superhuman, even though sometimes I feel like I'm superhuman. I'm a parent. I'm a parent. We are superhuman, right? It's because I went through that identity shift. I chose it, and I did it with guidance. I did it with mentorship. I did it with embodiment and support myself. I became a different person internally, and then my external world literally reorganized around that. And when I tell you, it's night and day. It's night and day, and it feels really good. And so honestly, Unlimited is just the container that I wish I had back then, years before, okay? I really wish I had it. It's the conveyor belt that I built. I built this myself after becoming the person I became. And so one of the most powerful parts of this program, in my opinion, is the community, because you're no longer going to be the only person in your life thinking the way that you're thinking. And you're no longer the weird one, right? You're no longer explaining yourself. You're no longer swimming upstream by yourself. You're surrounded by people who are also choosing growth, just like you, who are choosing responsibility and expansion, who are choosing wealth consciousness, okay? They're choosing identity elevation. You watch other people have breakthroughs here. You witness other people release their own old patterns. You see people normalize ease and feel real good about it, okay? You're going to see people shift their standards. It's brilliant. And something inside of you says, oh, this is possible here. Because anything and everything is possible, okay? We just see things in a different way and we allow them, okay? So listen. Environment trains identity faster than willpower ever could. Environment trains identity faster than willpower ever could. So inside Unlimited, you don't have to be the strongest version of yourself. All right? There's no judgment. All you have to do is just be willing. That's it. The container does the heavy lifting for you. So I want to ask you a very simple, honest question. What experience do you want? Not what you think is realistic or what you've settled for. What do you actually want? Is it more money? Is it to feel free? Is it more peace? Is it more confidence? Is it alignment? Is it self-trust? More joy? What is it that you want? Okay? And now ask yourself this next question. Do you believe that you will experience that faster trying to piece it together alone, or by being guided by someone who lives this work? Answer that. Who lives this work and lives it inside a container that was designed exactly for that transformation. There's no right or wrong answer, just honesty. There's no right or wrong answer. I will say that Unlimited is not for everyone. It's for people who are ready to stop circling the conversation and step into embodiment. That's who it's for. So it's for people who are tired of surviving. It's for people who feel the quiet pull towards, there's more for me than this. I know that there is. So if you feel that pull, that's not random. It's recognition. And that's great. You lean into it. Now, you don't have to decide anything right now. Not at all. You don't even have to pressure yourself. Just notice, okay? Notice what feels like growth and feels like expansion to you. Notice what feels alive. Notice what feels true, okay? Do your due diligence. Check me out. Notice all of it. I encourage you to take advantage of our free consult calls, okay, to talk about it. I provide free consult calls. We talk for about half an hour on Zoom. I will put the link to that in the comments at the end of the live, okay? You can also take a good look into the program. Check it out for yourself. See all the things that you learn about. The site is up. I will put the link to that there in the comments as well, okay? So that's Unlimited. Now, oh my goodness, my friends, we're almost done. You came into this masterclass with a hustle identity. You did, right? You came into this masterclass with a hustle identity, and you're leaving with awareness, and you're leaving with tools, and you're leaving with a new orientation, and you leave with a different relationship to yourself. And I am so proud of you. I am so, so proud of you. But nothing is done. It's not done. Everything is just begun. Okay? So remember, you're not broken. You're not broken. You've never been broken. You were just conditioned. We all have been conditioned. But the thing is, conditioning can be changed. It can be changed gently. It can be changed intentionally. It can be changed consistently. You don't have to become more worthy. Hell, you don't have to become worthy. You already are. You already are. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to earn your right to be supported. You are allowed to build a life that feels good. If you've been living a life that hasn't been feeling good for the better part of 5 years to a decade, I need you to understand you are allowed to build a life that feels good. This is the only one we have. That's it. So build it to feel good. You are allowed to experience ease and rest. In fact, rest is a hell of a strategy. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. You are allowed to be wealthy. Yes, you are. Not just someday and not just from the lottery. Okay? You're allowed to be wealthy. No more suffering. You don't need to suffer anymore, okay? And you don't have to be wealthy after you suffer. You can just be wealthy because you are alive. Just because you are alive, okay? This is as a person, a natural person who just becomes. So I want to say to you, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending these last 2 days with me and learning about hustle culture and why hustle culture is over. Okay, it's so played out. It's so yesterday. It does nothing but exhaust you. It doesn't allow you to create what you want and step into your wealth identity. You learned the hows. Now it's time for the do. Okay? I want to thank you for being willing. I want to thank you for choosing curiosity over comfort. And whatever your next step is, okay? No pressure. I want it to be from a place of self-trust, not fear or pressure, just self-trust, okay? And so for many of you, I'll see you inside of Unlimited. And for the rest, I'll see you online, okay? And so with love and immense gratitude, I'm Shani Leatham. Take care.